Hey folks, Randy here with Doing Cut and Trim. So I had an interesting conversation recently. We were talking about how much you work when you're in business for yourself, and different guys had different takes on it. Some guys were saying you should only work 5 days a week, and other guys were saying no, you got to work seven, and you never take any time off, and blah blah blah, and uh, just kind of going on this thing, and guys start trashing each other, and because everybody's way is your own way is always the best way as far as you're concerned. And I got to thinking about it because originally at the beginning of the conversation I said I was a 5 day a week guy. um, I only worked five Monday through Friday, and I take Saturday and Sunday off. um, and I said that had been working great for me. And then I got to thinking about it after the conversation was done, and I realized like that's actually not true at all. Like not even close. I do actually work 7 days a week. I don't let my customers know that I do that, but I actually do. Uh, because I only, while it's true, I only mow 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Um, Saturday and Sunday, I actually do quite a bit of work on those days as well. Uh, it's just the custom. I just try and shield the customer from that fact. So I guess what. So I'll tell you what I mean. Like my typical day, I'm usually up Monday through Friday. I'm usually up around 4:30, 4:30, and that's when I start processing all the interactions with customers that had happened after the day ended, the previous day. So, any emails that came through in the middle of the night, I respond to them, deal with any issues, look over the schedule, make sure everything's routed correctly, get it dispatched, and then usually in the truck by 7:30, and I mow all day. Hopefully, I can be done by 3 or 4. Sometimes it's later than that. I get home. I try and process like emails and stuff like that while I'm working, like throughout the day. But then when I get home, I go into the office and I then process all the emails and whatever else came in until I get it down to zero. And usually call it quits around 5 p.m. Typically. So that right there is a 12 to 13 hour day. And that's just typical. That's not even like honestly, that just feels normal. It used to be that I worked when I worked for somebody, I worked 8 hour days, and then man, if I had a 10 hour day, oh man, it's just so hard. Now a 13 hour day is just kind of a normal day. And then if customers see, this is what my customers don't know. Um, then in the evening, I dedicate that to family time, but my emails are still going to my phone. And so if a customer sends me an email, or if a customer calls and leaves a voicemail, it all gets sent to my email. And so I can check that email and see it. And if it's an emergency, like if a customer says I broke their window or something, which doesn't, that's pretty rare, but if something like that happens, I can then respond to it immediately and get it dealt with. But if it's just a simple, hey, you're scheduled to come out tomorrow, can you skip me this week? I actually use this thing called, oh shoot, what is it called? Oh, Boomerang. It's called Boomerang. It's an add-on for my Gmail. And the way it works is I can actually type a reply to a customer in email and then schedule when it'll actually be sent to them. So if like if you email me at like 7 p.m., I don't want you to feel like we can just have a conversation because I don't want to actually talk to you. I just don't want to have to think about what you said anymore. So the only way I can do that is to respond to you, but I don't want you to know I responded to you. So if you say, hey, don't bother coming out tomorrow, skip me this week, I'll type back an email, got it, I'll update the schedule, and then I'll hit the send later button and schedule it for 6 a.m. or something the next morning when I know I'll be in the office. And so then I just hit send later. I don't have to think about it anymore. And you'll get a response from me the next morning letting me know I got your message. And so that's kind of how I handle the evening. So, you know, typical day, it's a 13-hour day. And then, I do check my email periodically throughout the night. And that's Monday through Friday. Sometimes things will happen and, you end up working more or less or whatever. So if I'm working 13 hours a day, Monday through Friday, how many hours is that? It's 50. So that's 65 hours, Monday through Friday, that I'm working. And that just feels normal. I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel drained. That's just the normal flow of my day. And I was thinking in that conversation, like I wish I could go back to it now, that's just all I did. But I realized that's actually not true, because the weekends is when I do some of the more like deep dive type stuff. So on the weekends, I'll sleep in till 5 or 5:30. Get that extra rest. Because it's the weekend, and so I'll sleep in till 5 or 5:30, and then I will sit down with the laptop and a cup of coffee, and that's when I'll kind of do more like the deep dive type work things. Like, I'll start looking over the numbers, and I'll start, reviewing, I don't know, whatever I need to review, figuring out what areas I need to market to more, or what areas I need to get out of, see if I've got customers that aren't worth the money, if it's taking longer than I expected, or, whatever. And I'll do that till typically about 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. And then if I've got maintenance things that have been piling up, not like emergent things, just issues that need to be dealt with, it's at that point, once the noise ordinance in my area is lifted, I'll go out into the shop and I'll start correcting those issues. And I'll usually be out there till about 10. At which point, my son is starting to stir and all that, and then I spend the rest of my Saturday with my wife and son. And so you figure if I'm getting up at 5, working till 10, 5:30, working till 10:30, that's another 5 hours. So now it's a 70-hour week, and then I will typically do another couple hours of paperwork in the morning on Sunday mornings, and then call it a day. So basically, as it turns out, I do more or less work 7 days a week, although the 2 weekends are the easy days. And if it's a normal week with nothing going wrong, I'm working 70, 75 hours a week, which is hilarious when I think about it, because I worked a full-time job from the time I was 18 until there was a brief period where I was in college and I was working part-time. But basically, I got my first full-time job when I was 18, and I've worked full-time for somebody until I was 28. And during that time, 40-hour weeks, I was mentally exhausted. I was drained. You work an 8-hour day sitting in front of a computer, or when I was in foster care, going out in the field, and it was exhausting. It was draining. You were tired. You didn't want to talk to anybody at the end of the day. And you're just counting down the days towards the weekend. And now I work 5 full days and 2 part days every week, working pretty much double, 70, 75 hours instead of 40. And I actually am more rested, more invigorated, and more ready to seize the day. It's kind of interesting how that works. But as it turns out, I do work 7 days a week. It's just 2 of them, not as much. And I feel better, more rested, more excited. And I think it's because you have more purpose, you have more drive. You know where you're going. So I just thought that was interesting. Realizing that you actually are working way more, but you're actually feeling better. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting, and just wanted to pass it on to you guys. Not sure how this is helpful or what, but hope it was helpful, and have a good one.